Coming from the true space, we ain't entertaining neighbors. I don't give a fuck what you say. Found the universal coochie, planting seeds and birds fruit. Now I'm really looking juicy. Welcome to the true space. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the true space. Welcome to the true space. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the true space.
What's good, y'all? My name is Open Book. This is my partner.
Hey guys, this is Chris. Welcome back.
Yep, and this is the weekly horoscope. So let's get into the energies of the week to see what we're going to be hit with. Looking at Monday, December 5th, we have the moon in Taurus conjunct Uranus and the North Node. How do you think this alignment's going to hit us?
Right now, the moon of our fixated ability, power to create assets, material for us to feel stabilized, reminding us of that we need that we need to apply our assets and our value so we could develop something unique physically that could actually make money or could be basically create longevity, since we deal with the North Node, and North Node is creating a path of spirituality for us to go into. But we realize with the moon in Taurus, we're stabilizing, grounding, or everything that we've been emotionally reacting in Aries with birth to, but we gave birth to came from our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind, Pisces, our dreams and illusions were correlated based on our associates, the people we want to connect with on a collective level to be seen as unique and original with. These people came from Capricorn, the business plan that we started, but that business plan started from the new moon Sagittarius, where we started to have a new emotional way to basically connect with the collective by broadening our understanding of spirituality and God by not being so fixated with our visions and imaginations like Aries, Leo, or not be so aggressive and cardinal like Aries. We don't have to be mutable so we can extract knowledge and wisdom on what does this vision mean, what does imagination mean, and that's going to make us wise. So right now, having the moon in Taurus, this is stabilizing that wisdom, that spirituality that we developed so far, taking it to the collective science in the winter season and bringing it down to the spring season, part of the zodiac wheel, where we're going to bring into existence and see the physical result when the moon going to Gemini, which is us communicating the way that we developed in the moon right now in Taurus.
Absolutely. I feel like not enough people talk about the trust in regards to Taurus. Like, it's such a big thing with Taurus in terms of trust, not only just like relationship trust, but in terms of money, in terms of value, in terms of to have a product. How are you going to stand behind a product that you can't trust? Why is somebody going to buy a resource that you can't trust? You know, why are you going to value resources that you can't trust? That's why trusts, and it's funny how that's a key to start building wealth. You know, once you start making money, they talk about opening trusts and holding your money in trusts and stuff like that. So it even goes deep into that financial aspect. But trust is a huge component of, and God we trust is on the dollar bill. It's a huge aspect of it. So especially since it's Sag season, what is this, an in conjunction? So it's kind of like that, the awkwardness and difference of energy, because Sagittarius is looking into the future. Right now, we're looking to the future, the broader horizons, what we can expand into, what we can give our faith to. But the moon right now is asking, what do we already trust? You know, what is already tried and true that we know? What is the value system that we already hold? And it's hard to remind yourself of what worked from your past as you're looking towards the future to see new avenues, because you may end up leaving that, and that's fine. A lot of people, you know, want to hold on to certain things, especially with this alignment. The moon may influence you, especially because it's exalted. They'll hold on to certain tried and true traditions, and hold on to certain value systems, and to trust certain things. But remember the sun is in Sag, and that's the overarching theme that we're supposed to be looking at. So try not to let this awkwardness prevent you from giving faith to something new and imagining what things can be in a new sense. But you can't really jump high if you don't have stable ground to jump off of. And this is what it's reminding you of. You can't really communicate about spirituality unless you physically, live these things and you experienced it in a very sensual way, or you can trust your value, you can trust the experience that you have been through. Then when we see this full moon energy come out, it's not Sagittarius talking all of this nonsense, talking all of these reckless ideas that don't lead up to anything, that is so expansive that don't, and then you end up looking flunked out, like you're just talking for talking. But the moon right now is really trying to ground you to substance, remind you of your value system, remind you of that trust is that ultimate energy, because that's what makes it the awkwardness leading up to the full moon. Because once you're able to recognize what value systems you do trust and use that as your launching pad to what you give faith into, now, oh, full moon, you talking some sense. And you know what? People hear you, you're sparking new ideas. You're opening people's minds to broader perspectives with your words. And you're not finding as the full moon's not against you as much. It's working for you. But it all starts now with the moon in Taurus. So take heed of that aspect of trust and use that as your foundation for what you expand your faith into. Not to mention Uranus, the North Node, adding their energies to the mix, adding more uncertainty, adding more dynamic action from other people. So you really do have to know how to trust in a social sense, especially since Sagittarius is the beginning of these collective signs. It's really challenging us to take in these ideas, to ground in all of these collective broader ideas into our lives, and to learn how to trust these things, learn how to trust ourselves in order so we can operate in these higher realms of life and the world in effective ways. Square in Aquarius, adding more to what I was just saying. How do you think that adds into the mix? The moon in Taurus and Uranus.
So obviously, as we're reacting to our senses, getting demand by Uranus and North. In biology, you see Uranus and Taurus like you tend to produce a high electric pulse through your body to move it, so you can do something that's unique and original. Think about athletes that do high level activity. They have to basically use a high level of nervous system activation to move their body on that level, which is very important since those are physical body, and our physical body takes a lot of energy to move. Just think about the fact that an obese person would want to move less. So the heavier you are, the less you want to move. Why? Because it takes a lot of energy just to move here. So just think about Uranus here being debilitated, taking the high blood source of energy and to move it through your physical body. So it's very hard for us to be unique and original. But the more we do it, the more we train our physical body to translate a high level of energy here. The opposition to South Node is to remind you of the need to detox of what's inside of you, your internal body, so you can move your physical body better. This is why if someone is overweight, it's better for them to focus on detoxing first, like focus on getting rid of certain things before focus on cardio exercises to build a better base. Now allow his physical body to move better. And the square to Saturn in Aquarius, this is you learning how to resist restrictions and boundaries with the people you don't associate with, because the people you associate with are the same people you correlate your nervous system with. So your people think alike. This is why you would prefer to hang out with people who want to work out, because they're going to inspire you to work out. You're going to start to talk and think and create restrictions and boundaries around areas that's related to those concepts and things of that nature. So really, this is helping you to correlate your physical body together to move forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The way you were talking about Uranus and Taurus made me start thinking of epigenetics in terms of how it can play out in both ways.
It's perfect for that too.
I'm like, you're activating genes that never been expressed before. You know what I mean? Maybe you're creating different protein patterns that your body has never experienced before due to certain neurological links or whatever thought processes that you have going on through your body, which can play out in a detrimental way and a beneficial way. AKA, you start activating new genes that the genius genes or whatever it is, that's the positive additions to your life, making you more alert, more aware, or whatever it is. Or starts deregulating certain beneficial genes in your immune system's going under and all of it. But it's like epigenetic changes. That's what it seems like not the regular genetic structure or hormonal structure because it's Taurus.
Exactly.
That makes sense. And then yeah, look at Aquarius, being strict on the thoughts that you fixate on, probably going to help control that epigenetic change to some sort of degree, and teamwork makes the dream work. If you're around like-minded people, you're going to be triggering the right genes and activating the genius genes, not the dumbass nigga genes, and facilitate it more. Teamwork makes the dream work. That's interesting. And then look at the sextile with Neptune and Jupiter and Pisces with the moon and Taurus. How do you think this adds to the mix?
Now, this is us adding our subconscious mind and the behind the scene realm into the mix of understanding how all those energies correlate to our physical body. Because based upon what we're going to expand in when it comes to our dreams, or illusion, our subconscious mind, going to help us to basically build on our physical body. The Jupiter and Pisces asking you to believe more. The more energy you put into belief, eventually that will correlate to you moving your physical body into doing it, even though you may not understand. But that's the whole process of imagination imprints the energy into your subconscious mind, basically. And Neptune is like spirituality, mysticism, just adding more that Pisces energy, making you dive deeper into you and things of that nature. But the more you do that and you know how to control your subconscious mind and not allow yourself to get out influenced by all those different influences that happen every day, like it's very hard for us to hold on to one feeling from others. That's the Pisces battle of imaginations and connecting with the collective role. So, like, think with this sextile, you seeing the opportunity first to use your moon and Taurus to act as a cup, then Neptune and Jupiter to like bring all those like esoteric, subconscious downloads down.
For sure. Pisces reminds me of like with the flow of imagination, like say you're watching a show or a cartoon and you're getting into it. You don't question the things that don't look real. But then Virgo comes through and tells you how the hair on that character moves is unnatural, and now you can't unsee it, and it breaks the whole continuity of the imagination. Now you can't just allow it. Now you're starting to notice all of the other inconsistencies. And it's like, damn, Virgo, why couldn't you just let me enjoy the imagination and be on the flow? Virgo will have to break down the little details, and then you can't see it anymore.
This is why Pisces spaced out too.
Dead ass. And then that escapism is like, nah, stop, leave my dreams alone. Yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna go over there and have my imaginations and keep them in check for sure. But man, Neptune and Pisces has really been hitting the world. Like all of this craziness, people just doing all of this, this irrationality that has been added to the world has been there since 2012. I swear, like before, like certain things wouldn't have been controversial. Saying certain things, like saying women should be in the kitchen or some shit like that. Like 10 years ago, that wasn't controversial. Whether you agree with it or not, you just didn't care, or you just allowed it. And now all of a sudden it attacks your whole belief system, and everybody needs to be involved, and your personal belief is involved in everybody's personal belief. So it's very collective sign, but I feel like it's pushing us towards a better future, or to a more connected future where we understand everybody's beliefs, where we understand each other on a higher overarching level. Because in Neptune and Aries, we go into spiritual war. I don't know how that's gonna play out exactly, but it would be crazy. So if we don't develop this overarching awareness of our belief and people's belief and how we can blend and mix that. Once Aries comes, it's gonna be like, no, there can only be one. There can only be one. Christians will start killing other Christians because they don't like the way that they're talking about Jesus. Before they even get to the Jews and the Muslims, they're gonna start killing other niggas that have Jesus out their mouth. I'll tell you, that's how it be. But yeah, just that's Pisces energy though. But also there's Mercury and Venus and Sagittarius squaring this Neptune and Jupiter and Pisces as well. How do you think that adds to the mix?
So obviously from the lenses of Neptune and Jupiter, since we're building on something technology and wisdom, how to use it. Mercury and Venus running in Sagittarius are taking their chances on different broad visions, so we could learn how to extract meaning and from them, but by communicate them, by intellectualize them, even though Mercury is just to try to communicate about it, is what makes Sagittarius philosophers, corset, and things of that nature, which cause irrationality. That's the negative side. Venus here is love, appreciation, desires, really helping us to develop like an emotional connection to our spirituality, our philosophy, even indulging these things would be negative side of it. But this time for Venus to develop a sense of morality, to prepare for Capricorn. So Venus could have a structure for itself, but first it gotta meet God, the Mercury too, the trickster. But having that square to Neptune and Jupiter is amplifying the need to learn of what your subconscious overall trying to teach you, which is you got a long time to go, and then have this Sagittarius energy. This is you just trying things out, taking the risk, trying to interpret the messages that is giving you. Because right now you're playing out the masculine side of Pisces energies, but things may not look how it seems and things of that nature. But this is almost you seeing yourself trying to do what you want to do, but you did not build it yet.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Sagittarius really has you being open and optimistic, and when we get into Pisces, it's so collective and so subconscious that you may have certain subconscious beliefs and belief systems that is limiting how far you let the Sagittarius bow go, and just the boundaries that you allow yourself to operate in based off of certain things that you may not even be aware of. So that's that square. And once you feel that frustration, you really have to start tapping into the real you and how honest you're being with that vision, with that perspective of the future, with that moral system. How honest are you about your experience and what you have learned, and the wisdom that has accumulated with that to that level. And when you achieve 100% honesty, this is how you overcome that square, and it starts to become beneficial, where even if you do have limiting beliefs, you still allow yourself to give faith, to have that conversation, to make that relationship, to create balance in that area, to try and make that connection, even though it doesn't line, even though your imagination is imagining something else, even though your subconscious is a little bit scared or vulnerable, or you don't see it, or your belief system tells you that that's outside the parameters of your reality. This is the day to really break through with your dreams, because they could really be crushed. When you look out and see how far, it's like what people do when they abandon religion, or say they abandon the certain mentalities that the government gives them. They really need that Sagittarius energy to give them their faith, to build their own spaceship, to build their own spirituality and build it up. But they don't realize all the subconscious belief that came from those previous systems. So once they try and break free, they're just out there in darkness, and it's like, oh shit, let me go back. Let me go back to the aspect where there was lights and stuff like that. But you need to develop your own lights, and that's what lets you go through that darkness. And you can only do that when you are 100% honest with how you feel, and using that as your projection for how you want the world to be, the moral system that you follow, and what you give your faith to. So there could be a lot of fog that's coming up that'll distract you from believing yourself, that'll tell you that you shouldn't move forward. But you really have to stop and question and ask yourself what it is that you are moving forward for, and be honest with yourself. And even though your belief system, even though you feel that awkwardness, take the leap, have that conversation, have that. And then you'll find things might not even work out the way that you want them to work out, but guarantee you'll be better for it. Guaranteed you will be stronger. Guaranteed you will have more self-awareness through going through those types of experiences.
It's definitely a battle between like our higher minds, Neptune and Jupiter, versus our lower like mentalities, Mercury and Venus. But Mercury and Venus is challenging the higher mentality to do these things on a physical level, to bring that into like a more of an existent experience that you could expect knowledge and wisdom from, just instead of just dreaming about it, having it in your imagination, and actually doing it, which gonna build your subconscious mind and let you know you actually experience this.
Absolutely. 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 This is a brightening of your subconscious mind if you use the energy properly. And then lastly, for Monday, we have Mars and Gemini opposing the Sun in Sagittarius. How do you think this opposition is going to hit?
So this is gonna be highly aggravated. Passion, desires, going to war. But here we're going to war in terms of thoughts, ideas, intellectualizing, being dualistic, thinking about your actions, having the opposition of the sun too, while we're taking action on expressing our broad visions, our understanding on God, but we're also being passionate about communicating. That could bring a high level of conflict, contradiction, a lot of scatteredness, since we may not know how to direct that energy yet, things of that nature. But that opposition is going to lead to a lot of aggravation and forces you to, because you with Sun, you're seeing what you want to basically do, but with Mars, you're trying to take action on what you're trying to communicate on. But this opposition is you bringing these together, so it's going to force you to learn a lot, do a lot of like long distance travel, also short distance travel, so you could feel the entire psychology basically.
It's for sure. The way you're breaking that down made me start thinking of basketball for some reason, and like that niggas like LeBron, where you're controlling the whole court and you're calling the plays. It's like you're playing the game right now, and you're visualizing what you want to do, but you also have to force yourself to communicate, and it's hard. Only the best basketball players can have that high level of communication and still focus on themselves, tell what other people what to do, and still doing these things themselves. It takes a high level of IQ.
It's like Pain when he fought against Jiraiya, having all like the clones, but they overlooked each other's eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it's like, and the opposition, Jiraiya having him try to understand all this different level of communication, how they transmute messages.
And each one had a different jutsu, where he's trying to figure out all of it in the moment. Yeah, yeah. And he had to intellectualize. Jiraiya was an author too. He was a writer. Don't kill you.
Sagittarius energy does not fit Jiraiya. A person who travels around, big booze.
Spies on women. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's jokes. That's how Monday's looking. A lot of mutable energy. Um, a lot of mutable energy. There's a lot of faith that needs to be had in ourselves and trusting our process. And the best way to do that is focusing on the moon too, grounding into physical reality and establishing trust in our values, establishing trust within our own emotions, to be able to trust how we feel. That's what's going to allow you to overcome all of the mutable aspects and things trying to throw you off, that trust in your feelings and emotions. Then you can give your energy to Sagittarius and expand faith, because the ground you're on is stable.
That can happen pretty quick. Everything gets plumbed out beyond, like full moon Gemini, you get lost in the mutability and the emotional volatility behind it.
You got damn right. So yeah, that's how Monday looks. Tuesday, the moon enters late Taurus, beginning of that transition into the full moon. How do you think this transition from the moon going into Taurus to going into Gemini, how do you think that's gonna hit the collective?
Us volatile trend, especially at full moon too, at the beginning of the year. This is now if you develop what is your value and what's when it comes to the full moon Gemini, that when you build that mental spaceship, when it comes to people arguing with you, you're not gonna be pushed around. You're not gonna be like you're not gonna fly and not be able to control your spaceship. You're gonna be able to control yourself. Why?
Sturdy.
Because you develop all that esoteric weight, the value, that stability. You've been reading your scriptures. You understand all these Hebrew letters, what they mean, what they represent. And you remember Monday, you had all that this with all those opposition, those squares, all the mutable energy. So like you've been through like your mental pilot like classes and things of that nature. So like think of this as the preparation as things get dusty. So as the moon closely goes to Gemini, this is you getting more communicative and things are taking off. So as things start to take off, remember to stay grounded, but stay grounded so you fly.
Absolutely. That reminds me of that analogy that I like using to talk about, like, say if people you have to really take what people tell you, and especially with Sagittarius season, everything's about our spirituality. Even when niggas don't even know that it's about their spirituality, nigga, it's about your spirituality. You just call it something else or look at it as something else.
That's why Sagittarius is all about the I see. So like if we all could see each other, but that's why we need to develop like the broad sense of we all see each other. It's the whole point.
Absolutely. With the moon in Taurus, it's like knowing, like I like saying, like if a nigga can dance, he's dancing, popping a lock, and it's all that fancy shit, and he's good at it, and he tells you that Jesus gave him the ability to dance. You don't need to sit there and come up with different concepts of how he may have learned to dance or whatever it is. You know, even if that is you, and you know, nah, this dancing ability came from Jesus. I know. Tuesday is that day where you solidify it, where you trust yourself, that you know. And then when you go and say it in Gemini season full moon, everybody's not going to be like, Jesus doesn't give dancing powers to people. You're an idiot. You know, what the hell are you talking about? No, you had that trust. And when you start dancing, niggas like, oh shit, this nigga's dancing. So when you say that Jesus gave you the ability to dance, ain't nobody questions a goddamn motherfucking thing. They just watch you dance and just be like, oh shit, oh, that's nice. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. That's all there is to it. And that's how you have to approach that energy. That's how Tuesday's looking. Wednesday, December 7th, is the day of the full moon. And we have that full moon conjunct Mars and Gemini while hitting us. How do you think this is going to change the full moon energy?
It's gonna be the time for us to be everything about it was all about developing spiritual sovereignty, new faith, a new form of optimism, so we could take over the world and things of that nature. So right now, having the full moon conjunction Gemini is facing that the volatility. The conjunction to Mars is going to accelerate that emotional conversation to communicate about all those experiences that we extracting knowledge and wisdom so far through. But like this conjunction is accelerating things so fast, and Gemini being an air sign, you may not see everything that may come and things of that nature, especially with the full moon. A lot of debates, a lot of arguing, a lot of like this type of energy where someone threw a jab at you in the mental realm and you may not notice it because of all the mutable areas that people are not direct, but this is teaching you how to handle all that mutability and the broadness of communication, especially after you extracted all those knowledge and wisdom, because you want to be able to communicate. The only way, it's crazy how it's an opposition, because the only person be able to talk about Sagittarius like things, that third dimension, will be like Gemini, even though it's an opposition, but Gemini's get the only one have enough energy to intellectualize and go out there and try his best to communicate it, things of that nature. So Having that, this is prepared the trying to Saturn Aquarius, where we're gonna see the result of all that emotion release, depending on what you're going to communicate about, which is going to create the opportunity for Saturn Aquarius to see whether the collective, our group, fuck with us. Is it going to give us the positive response or a negative response? A negative response will be based upon users emotionally talking or arguing about nonsense. A positive response would be you knowing how to communicate and really put a lot of energy about talking about a broad topic that it could benefit the collective and broader that fixated nature of Aquarius and allows to progress without being so competitive and things of that nature.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Saturn kind of does give some type of grounding aspect with that trying to help ground that mutable energy or to add some level of certainty, some level of direction, some level of an outlet for your emotional energy to go towards, which is, teamwork with the dream work and you building more stability around the type of information that you focus on and that you associate, and how you receive love and how you associate with other people. But yeah, I completely agree. It's crazy that full moon. I feel like it's adding a lot more suggestibility too. Like people are gonna be in more, because Gemini, especially Moon in Gemini, Mars in Gemini, there's this versatile aspect where you're not stuck into one place. So you're not stuck into one aspect. So there's a lot of anger and a lot of emotions that can be used in multiple different areas on this full moon. So I would suggest you be really cautious, and that's where the trine with Saturn and Aquarius is probably coming in clutch in terms of giving you direction, giving you purpose, letting you know. Remember, the goal is still stability because you can be swayed all different type of way, get mad at something because of how you feel, and put all your energy into getting mad at something, and then a day later you're not even mad at the same thing, but you went and burned a bridge, or whatever it is, or you manifest the whole full moon moment, that once the moon goes into Cancer, you don't even care about that shit anymore. You realize that that was a passing thing, or you don't feel the need to talk about it. There's not that emotional um, pull like that. So for sure, I see that full moon allowing a lot of aggressive suggestibility where it can play out in a detrimental way, where you start adding your more structure to someone else's structure, to someone else's plan, and you start helping out the shadow government. We're using all of this flunked out emotion with anger, and now you're starting to debate and try to logicalize spiritual concepts, moralities, or you're getting lost adding hypotheticals onto hypotheticals. You're writing whole Talmuds and oral traditions that have nothing to do with the actual meaning of the spiritual teachings that is the foundation of all of these practices. You can get so lost in the word and so angry and so invested into communicating something when the best thing to do is to live it. But at this point, if you've been planting the right seeds from that new moon in terms of the experience that you want to expand into, where you've been giving your faith to, that suggestibility isn't going to be used against you. It's not going to be out there for other people to take and manipulate like that. You'll be more in control of the direction that your mind is going because you've been planting those seeds. So you might find that you have that suggestibility, whereas you have this broad vision, but your feelings and emotions and your motivation aren't tied down to certain things. So whatever way you can go about fulfilling those things, you have the energy and the feelings and emotions to attach onto it. It doesn't have to look like this. It doesn't have to look like this for you to care about it, or it doesn't have to look like this for you to put energy. You have this ultimate versatility. If you've been planting the right seeds during from the new moon, ultimate versatility. Just like what you're saying, only Gemini can really talk about the things that Sag conceptualizes. So once you balance
Crazy.
those two energies, it's the ultimate versatility. Anybody, a Muslim comes up to you, and you'll be able to blend everything. You'll be friends with the Muslims. You'll be friends with the Christians. You'll be friends with the Jews. You link up and hail up and do gang signs and do the whole handshake with every community that you go to once you balance those types of energy.
because you know how you lived it and then you know how to talk about it. And no one can fuck with you. Like doing both of them at the same time or be able to pull it off is extremely hard.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see it in
Absolutely.
the entire world how things are divided and how people can bring opposites together, which is naturally hard.
I noticed that with certain conversations and in terms of like history and stuff like that, certain people, like I remember talking about.
I already know
Mhm.
what you're gonna talk about.
But it's
Just
facts.
literally how politics is set up in like 180-degree oppositions, like going in the opposite theologies and shit like that, even religions with denominations.
Absolutely. Yeah, people can't tread in a lot of those areas. It has to be one way. You don't realize that a lot of people don't realize that they think it's either or and get so stuck in that either or. It could be both, motherfucker. It could be
That's what
good
these
and bad.
are useless. That's why.
Absolutely. And then so there's also that sextile with Chiron in Aries with the full moon. How do you think that adds to the energy?
All that emotion, volatility is driving you to your nervous system to accelerate the way you can drive information without finding areas how you can heal the brain nervous system damage that was from experiencing properly and seeing who you are. But this full moon you're releasing is gonna make you see a proper image of yourself or negatively make you more flung down, aggravate the Caryan Aries energy, which can make you create more mistakes. Literally,
Hmm.
full moon and moon conjunct Mars, Gemini, Caryan Aries, 100% perfect for making mistakes.
Absolutely. I definitely see that. And that's what we mean about that swayability. It'll be so easy for somebody to sway your emotions, for you to switch topics or to switch things for your emotions to be directed. That distractibility on an emotional and energetic level, for sure, can really be taken advantage of. And then the square to Neptune and Jupiter in Pisces with the full moon. How do you think that'll
And
add?
it's
Flaunt outness.
more flung time is yours because you sitting here having this idea of what you want to do in terms of conscious mind while you experience around the full moon trying to go out there experience that volatility with your emotion and to transfer that to create some form of bring form of positivity into the collectiveness while there's a possibility of creating mistakes with South Korean Aries. So like this bound can make mistakes, things are clearly foggy, forcing you to really stand on your own and really separate what's real and what's not.
It's really going to be hard.
Like really hard, yeah. Like I won't blame you if you like fail too.
And this is why it's so important where when things get so shaky like this, when things get so mutable, you don't have to know. This is where so much people get lost. And this is what I mean in terms of once you leave certain other spiritual systems or certain ways of constructing your mind and give the faith to yourself to start building your own mind, your own spirituality, building your own spaceship. You feel like you're in the dark, or that darkness may really cripple you to want to go back to those esoteric streets with the street lamps, so and the public transit, so that you're not left out into the dark. But if you know how you want to feel, Sag season, you have developed a clear picture of an optimistic future for yourself. You don't have to know how you're going to get there. You don't have to know, but you're willing to jump on the journey and you know where you want the journey to take you. You don't even have to have a solid image, just a feeling. You'll be surprised at how that is how you move in the esoteric realm, by the feeling. And then you can use your thoughts. That's like your steering method, but you're not going to go anywhere without adding the feeling and emotion. So this is where you really need to focus on to. How do you want to feel? What is the most optimistic situation that you see into yourself? What do you want to get faith through? What do you want your experience to be? You have to really hold on to these concepts, or else the world will take you away.
Exactly. That's where at the moon Taurus asking ability with, or you go all that accelerated mutable transit energy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mercury is moving into Capricorn now. How do you think this is going to?
Mercury is moving from broadness of visions, and Mercury is tired from having spending all of this, and Mercury is like oxygen. Then and Sagittarius takes a lot of energy to really interpret it and really feel that organ. This is why when people exercise, move their body, their muscles, it takes a lot of breathing to recuperate all those energies back and things of that nature. So right now with Mercury being in Capricorn, this is time to communicate restrictions and boundaries around the moral system that you developed based on spending all that time thinking and debating and arguing about it. And now you want to think on how you could make it practical, get a status around it, a business. Mercury and Capricorn make you very dry when it comes to communicate about other things that's not related to money, getting in the bag, and things of that nature. It's not like Mercury in the air sign and things of that nature. Or you want to communicate on how you could benefit yourself, how you could move forward your own business status, which would be very beneficial for us and things of that nature. But it could be quite dry to the point that you may sound like you're taking control of someone on like a mental level. So definitely watch out on like a communicative level. But definitely gonna present a lot of ideas to build structure and at least do it on a mental level like that nature.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. For sure. Like with Capricorn energy, um, like the basic words for Capricorn was I use, which really makes sense. So this is where you start to use mentalities. This is why you say you don't want to start getting dry and get into the controlling energy where you start using certain things, using people for ideas, using certain ideas and not giving them their due or connecting with the roots of where they had come from. But just really diving into the mentality of utility and wanting things to be efficient. But moving from Sagittarius, where you really expanded and asked yourself what thoughts are possible, feel like Mercury and Capricorn is now you're starting to draw the blueprints. You're starting to do the mathematical, experimental work that is putting this into place. Okay, how is it going to work? Where are we going to put this piece? How is those Lego pieces going to adjust themselves together? And how does that play around? How do we structure and maintain these things? What responsibilities do I have to uphold after you dream and you go and shoot for the highest thing? What responsibilities follow those things and focusing on those? You expand it to what you want it to be, but once you're into that space, how do you facilitate that? And you have to contract a little bit more. That's how expansion goes: expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction. And it's that contraction that happens that's essential for another expansion to happen. In terms of to give you a perspective of it, that's like your veins in terms of blood pumping through it. People don't realize that your veins have these elasticity to them, and if you keep them stretched out, like in terms of niggas with steroids, niggas, eating bad, all of this stuff that's stretching out their veins, making the blood pump faster. Maybe there's beneficial small term effects, but your veins lose their elasticity. You need that contraction to a certain point in order for expansion to happen. So when you do need that, so they got overexalted, and all of a sudden a heart attack. All of a sudden, blood flow don't work the same. There's no energy. There's no transmission of nothing because they focus too much on expansion and not enough in contraction. So it plays out biologically as well.
Exactly. This is why we might find doing martial art might be way better than just bodybuilding that nature. Making sure you doing enough expansion, then restrictions, then expansion and then restriction instead of expansion, expansion, expansion. You know, like that diet. It's the negative side of Jupiter. It's like Jupiter becoming fat.
Yep. None of these that has niggas live past 50, 60, but the lean cut monk in the mountains, you don't even know. He doesn't even know how long the nigga been alive. The nigga stopped counting at a certain point. You know what I mean? It just didn't matter. Dead ass. But yeah, that's on Wednesday's looking really dealing with that versatility, that suggestibility by having the faith, and you've been given enough faith into yourself and not into other people's moral systems and stuff like that, you'll be all right. You won't experience that full moon moment. But if you have been planting bad seeds, take it in stride. Know that these emotions are that you're being suggestible, that things are distracting you, that you're being moved into a certain way. So even though emotions may rise and you may act out of pocket, out of hand, Sun is in Sagittarius. How can you learn from these experiences, and what wisdom can you extract from these things? That's what the lack of doing that's what led you to the situation. So the only right way to rectify the situation is to add more of what was supposed to be there.
Definitely, Mercury in Capricorn is obvious direction, go on, that full, all that energy go on. Especially because the full is going to be in Gemini, and then Mercury's leading you into like thinking about business status, how you take all that practical.
Absolutely. Okay, that's Wednesday. Looking at Thursday, the full moon in the later degrees of that Gemini Cancer cup, making an in conjunction with Pluto and Capricorn. How do you think that's gonna hit?
And to try to take power and welcome to that's all structure of business they destroyed for the sake of extreme rigid devitalization. This is what happens in Pluto and Capricorn. A lot of people think that it's destruction, but like when you deprive your body, you grow certain new restrictions that are forced to your body to create a new way to stabilize itself. And this is why people think inflation is bad. Inflation is actually a good sign, because you're seeing the economy progress. It's almost like seeing a health factor go down, but it's going to create a response for you to take power and control, and how you can handle these issues. Having this in conjunction, in Gemini, you may have to direct all that emotional energy being pushed through obviously communication and arguing, but it's preparing you to create a home and a sense of comfortability for all these ideas, thoughts, arguments that you've been experiencing. Create a home for to make yourself feel good. But remember, you're seeing that in conjunction, letting you can't stay home for too long, especially after the full moon in Gemini. You have to go out there and start building on your business instead of you knowing what to do in terms of the conjunction, and not allowing it to catch you off guard, especially later on during the opposition.
This is like maybe like with that full moon energy, maybe you've been able to get away with the bobbing and weaving. With Pluto and Capricorn, it's like Mike Tyson, where it doesn't even matter if you can bob or weave anymore. It's just Mike Tyson's in there. So you've been focusing on bobbing and weaving, but it's like, no, you have to, go head straight into it, or that's what it is. For sure. What you were even saying about the economy, that was interesting. So you think that inflation is replicating inflammation, and that it's a natural bodily function to counteract certain things, to keep balance in the body and structure?
Argue against it. You can't, because that's what you go against biologically, which let you know at which organ, which body system, which part of the economy is damaged. To give you the ability to create immune response and take control of it.
That's interesting, because that's exactly what they do. That's interesting. Wow, that's deep. That's deep. So yeah, definitely a hard challenge going on Thursday following that moon is how to make that all serious, and to how does this add or come into conflict with your transformation of how you take power and control in your position in the world, and trying your best to not have your emotions get in the way of that, because you may not understand, especially with this full moon energy, we may not understand the role, especially with all of the mutable energy, exactly how to take power and control over our situation. When Mercury is entering to Capricorn, things are coming to be more clear, where we're able to be more integral, where we're being able to be more professional, more blueprint oriented, and Pluto and Capricorn is kind of forcing us into those states of being, remembering as we're being versatile and communicating and entertaining different ideas and structuring our mind. It's telling us about the incoming professionalism that's going to need, where it needs to be refined to a T. You can dance around now and entertain these ideas, but is that going to lead you to refinement? If not, then Mike Tyson's going to knock you the fuck out. So that's how Thursday's looking on the 8th. Looking at Friday, we have the moon in Cancer squaring Chiron in Aries. How do you think that's going to hit us on Friday?
After all this, all you want to do is sit down, ask your mom to make you a nice meal, get time to get comfortable, and watch some anime, something you enjoy, and things of that nature. But right now, having that square to Chiron in Aries is reminding you of that image that you want to develop, but you have all this difficulty of seeing who you truly are. So you got to go through all those opportunities, making mistakes, so you know what to do, what not to do. This is like a nigga trying to utilize his nervous system to get a certain output, but every time he uses it, it creates a dysfunction. But through utilizing it more and more, he knows which area to direct it and which percentage you know what to do at, and things of that nature. And so the square right now is creating for you learning opportunities and know how to create emotional comfortability while learning on how to handle your mistakes that you might create yourself self-pressure. Obviously, I'm the opposition to Mercury and Capricorn, but business structure. This is like you sitting at home, like I said earlier, enjoying your time, but now you receiving messages about investment, business, things you need to take care of. But as your head, Chiron in Aries, your brain's getting inflamed, you're having brain nervous system damages, getting a headache, but you're trying to relax at home. So like this is definitely still a difficult day after the Gemini.
That's like a crossroads, because this is all the cardinal points. It's like, which direction should I go? Where should I be? What should I be initiating? There's going to be a crossroads of different things that you can initiate. Either like what you were saying. Do more to the Chiron and Aries and your personal desires, and understanding the mistakes and the wounds that you have gotten in your individuality, or you can relax. And heal, you know what I mean? Or you can relax and be comfortable and try and rest and stuff like that. There's that pull, and even the injury and the mistakes to your individuality is what's drawing you to even want to relax a little bit more. It's like damn. But it's also drawing you to want to bring more structure to things and have more structure in your mentality. So it's like, damn, I want to work, I want to build something. But nigga, I'm tired. And you know what? A good businessman needs rest. Everybody needs rest and shit like that. But nigga, you ever done enough work to go and it's like that whole struggle going on Friday. So you have to be honest with yourself in terms of whatever percentage level. Especially with cardinal energy, you can quickly start going into extremes, or jump a little too far into certain energy. Don't be too dry and restricted, and limit yourself to only thinking about practicality. Incorporate some rest, incorporate some exploration of your personal desires, incorporate some practicality, but don't try to go too far in either one, because you'll be taking a lot farther in that direction, faster than you had initially had planned.
Like having all those alignment and cardinal energy, see how that from a biological point of view, it would actually damage you, take a lot of energy, because all those organs are going to deal with birth, initiating of something.
Yeah, you might get a headache or some shit, eh?
If you have this in your natal chart, I forgive you.
That's jokes. But yeah, that's how Friday's looking. looking at Saturday, the 10th, Venus is entering Capricorn now too, following Mars slowly but surely. How do you think this is going to affect everything?
Or love, desire, would we appreciate that, the area of trying to princess take her shit more serious. Like Venus, I mean Venus in college. This is Venus going to the workforce. Be a women type of energy. Very good. Venus are really stable. So for biology, you this is you taking control of your hormones, giving you a practical plan. Set up something like maybe Venus in Cancer, which might emotional indulgences. Venus connected all these different emotions into Venus in Capricorn. This is like you restricting your diet and what to eat and what not to eat, and all this for business. That so, but make sure you don't become too dry that you kill the feminine aspect of Venus, which will be actually the benefit of having Venus in Capricorn, adding femininity energy into business. That will actually might move you forward. Like the best thing you could do in business, actually hire females as like at the front and things of that nature. Like this will blow your mind. This is a
Mm-hmm.
simple tactic that everybody knows about subconsciously. Like you would
Yeah.
obviously prefer to interact with a customer service on a female with a female than a man. Like I mean, you don't give a fuck about a man. Like a female will actually make you care, and if you select the right one, you can actually make your business move forward.
That's the structure of McDonald's. Like when I was working at McDonald's, I was the only dude in the front. It was all shorties, and all the niggas was in the back, cooking. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All the stuff. Yeah, it's literally
It
how it
makes
is.
it makes sense too.
That's facts. That's for sure. But yeah, so much, especially coming from Sagittarius, where Venus was being as optimistic as can be, but now you have to stand on it. Venus is saying, "I'm this. I'm gonna be this. I'm gonna be that. This is me. I deserve this. This is my moral system." Can you uphold these things? Are you responsible? Can you maintain the level of authority, the level of respect, the level of integrity to hold at that? Venus is Sagittarius acting like you're a hot shit. You can do everything. Now is you have to solidify that hot shit where you have to be hot shit, and that's your startled and status and title, and everybody can recognize you as that because they know that you're gonna uphold those values. They know that you're gonna uphold that balance, and then you know what the stability in that because now everybody you had that vision, you have the integrity to uphold that vision. So now there's all these connecting abilities. Like wow, like we all see the business, or we want to connect to it. We see the value that there is because we see your integrity. We see your ability to hold on to responsibilities, and then you start cooking with Venus and Capricorn. This could be you reaching a new status in your relationships and or business. You know what I mean? A new status in terms of finances, maybe a new financial bracket. You start making money that you never made before, or you start utilizing your money and you start plotting out how you're going to use it differently now and how you're going to structure and organize it to build more wealth later on projected into the future. So there's a lot of control that's coming into your resource life and your relationship life in terms of how you exchange your energy. So if you're honest in Sagittarius season, what you're trying to expand yourself into, it won't feel as much as responsibility. Not mean that it's not going to be hard to uphold these things and to keep that integrity of values, to keep that integrity of trust, to maintain those things. It's not saying that it's going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it because it's exactly what you want. So there's no debate about it. There's no roundabout way. You have to uphold these things if you want to get what you want. So it makes it easier when that honest integrity, like just like with the job, like if you don't give a fuck about your job, you're not gonna hold up the status. You're a manager or whatever, and everything's on fire or whatever. It's like, it's whatever. I clocked out or something like that. I don't give a fuck and stuff like that. But if this is what you want to do for your beginning, and you're an apprentice or it's your own business or whatever it is, that fire didn't happen because you thought of that, preemptively, and you wanted to look. You know what I mean? But that's why you can't hold that status, even though you were AKA title manager, but you didn't give a fuck about the place. Doesn't matter about the title manager because there's not much to. You don't care about what you're managing, but when you do care, man, it's on another level. It's another level. Yeah, and then also on Saturday, the moon in late Cancer is making a trine to Jupiter, Neptune, and Pisces. How do you think that alignment's gonna hit?
Your emotion, the power of Cancer, aka reflecting all those experiences, and that's gonna give you the ability to directions, cardinal sign. This is gonna give us emotional energy to be able to direct all that subconscious coming from Pisces. Pisces, it might be very hard for us to those having them give us enough energy to feel it, to have an imprint consciousness. Also, first allow us to use our wisdom to really allow us to feel better as we're trying to reflect so far on our experiences through giving us dreams, illusions, meaning and reason, things like that. Really, this is all about like psychic and communication in developing your intuition right now. Moon in the Cancer, but obviously for the sake of sextile in Uranus and North Node in Taurus, so you could pour all that energy of your subconscious mind on that physical cup that you want to build. Taurus that is unique, so you could handle that heavy opposition, putting capital through taking power and control by being responsible about what you dream. Have starts with reflecting first in Cancer.
Wow, I was even just thinking, mapping that out, medical astrology, the way that you're talking about, it's like your immune system, Cancer, the moon in Cancer is clearing up ways, like the subconscious energy in terms of Jupiter, what your muscular system, maybe it's cleaning up the muscular system and the subconscious feelings that are held within them. Given the opportunity for Uranus, the epigenetic changes to activate new genes and stuff like that, which makes you stop taking away from your bone marrow and your skeletal structure, and you have a little bit more stability in that area.
And like when you think about it that way, you could look at like economy instead of basing it on like a capitalistic idea, do it instead of see first before the economy gets inflated, see how the home and the family and domestic issues, what's happening there first, the immune system, which built the bone marrow and the bones for society. So if you want to know what happened out there, like when the crypto crash, the stocks, all the frauds that go on, you see what happened at the home with the families and shit like that. I bet all that in the economy stems at home.
That's what eco literally means, the home. It means the home. An economy is the state of the home within a country. And this is how you track the GDP. That's why I thought it was so stupid when COVID and Trump was president, and he was like, America is doing so great. Look at how much money we're making and stuff like that. But it was the big businesses. It was Amazon was doing great. Bill Gates was doing great. Bill Gates was doing fantastic. This nigga was rolling in money. He was, yeah, all of the big numbers,
Exactly.
but
All
not the
that
small
means,
businesses.
and the small business are like the unique immune cells that really could compete with those corporations. You see how what the corporation, the bones done, could like shut down what this unique original immune system is trying to do. Like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people got shut down because they can't maintain all that battle.
Exactly. Exactly. And then some people, you get lost in the numbers. You would think, see an Amazon warehouse and be like, oh, they employ 1,000 people. And then you start thinking that they're the ones giving all the people jobs, but all the other small businesses accumulated around is what they hire 20,000 people, or it's way more people work for the small businesses than they do for the franchises. It's switching. And this is why you're seeing higher unemployment rate because they took away the small businesses and shit like that. But But this is what happens. But it does correlate with the alignment too. So this is why you have to take care of your home center and pay attention to your immune system to allow it to work at a high level of operation. AKA, you have to really care about what you're doing. You know, you really have to be able to not be caring about things that'll do you dirty. You can be able to get vulnerable about things. And then once you have that down, moon in Cancer, especially following the full moon, that full moon is liberating all of this energy, and afterwards you can really start to focus on what you care about and what's around you and what's really close to home. And focusing in on this is going to help clear up energies on your social life, you know, and how you deal and build all that structure and everywhere. Just like how in a regular economy you have to fix the home first before you start wondering about international trade and all of these other things, getting other businesses to come and do all of this, anything external. You really have to get your internal situation straight. And that's the main theme of what Saturday is looking like.
Definitely revitalize you like Saturday.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely revitalize. And this is the time to relax, you know, maybe you'll feel more able to relax, just like what you're saying, more able to reflect on these energies and be able to put them in positive places and really take in and give into that reflection. Take in and ask yourself, how did this make me feel? And be honest with yourself. The sun is still in Sag. Be honest with yourself. And you'll see the opportunities on how to handle the social world and how to handle these higher, more collective type energies in a way more effective way. So that's how Saturday's looking. Looking at Sunday, we have the moon in Cancer conjuncting Lilith in early Leo on that cusp, leaving Cancer, while in conjuncting Mercury and Venus in Capricorn. How do you think that alignment's gonna end?
All I like to say when the new shit hit the fans, be with us expressing our vision and imagination and jumping on stage. And we know as we jump and clear the stage, we have the opposition Saturn Aquarius. How is the collective their response to us, what we're doing? Are we just entertaining? Would say entertaining, or is there self-expression is actually correlated to move society forward and things of that nature? That's like a rapper rapping meaningful things and things of that nature. But having right now the in conjunction to Mercury, the Capricorn, this is like really forcing us to correlate our values of self-entertainment and expression for the sake of what's very important business status, which is what our mind is on, what we tend to love and appreciate, even indulge in. We know it's going to be hard. Capricorn takes a lot of restriction, responsibility to create the longevity energy that makes you like a legend and things of that nature. But in conjunction, this really you challenge you. Hey, do you want to be an entertainer? Jump on the stage, act like Kanye, and feel like you're Jesus. Then later on, forget what Judaism is really about, and then talk about how you follow the law of Moses. But you talked earlier and jumped on the stage, talk about how you are Jesus. So, because you're not understanding that in conjunction, you don't understand longevity of that nature. You understand how Capricorn, the structure comes from first the blood cells that initiate the structure. You're viewing it backward and things of that nature. You don't know how to build things properly. This is the type of energy that's gonna make you realize whether you're confused or not, or whether what you're doing actually benefits you long term type of energy. And this is the energy I don't get long term things that Cancer opposite Capricorn, but also Leo opposite Aquarius.
Absolutely. Absolutely. With Cancer, you get caught up in, holding on to certain things that make you feel comfortable. In Capricorn, you get caught up in holding on to things that are practical, you know what I mean, that are tried and true, that you know that works. And with Leo, you get held on with how you want to love. And then Aquarius is how you want to be loved and how other people want to be loved and the energy that they want to get. So there is definitely that natural conflict, especially with Leo. with the moon moving into Leo, you're gonna want to creatively express yourself a lot more. The inner child, to have that inner expression, to emotionally express how you see things. But with your thoughts, with Mercury and Venus on Capricorn, you're, especially when those two are together, you're being idealistic about structure. You're being idealist about practicality, that this is what you're trying to balance, this is what you're trying to think about. But if you don't adhere to the moon, you'll end up with that domineering factor in terms of you want the structure to be how you want to see it, you know what I mean, and you get stuck on your personal emotions and how you want to feel, and lose that creativity, because in conjunction requires an adjustment to be made. So I feel like a lot of people don't incorporate into their business mind their inner child, their inner creativity, how they want to have fun, and all of these aspects. And then work and building practicality becomes too dry. And maybe they do get to a level of success, but they never have an equal level of happiness. That's something that a lot of people miss. So right now, I feel like that energy is asking you, reminding you, incorporate your inner child. It's awkward right now, and you're gonna have to make adjustments to incorporate it. But somehow, whatever little change that you can do to incorporate your inner child, to increase more creativity into your work, into how you approach the world, you'll feel way more. Even when you do get into the dry thoughts and thinking about business, you feel so much lighter. And just like what you were saying, it's your blood turns into your bones, so once you get to know your blood, you'll build a better bone structure.
This is why majority of entertainers and rappers look very youthful, while the people who are the music, politics, the opposition, old, rusty, dusty hair falling out, they have to get with the young music,
Dead ass.
and that nature. So like but they know to run the business, they know the laws, they know the restrictions, the boundaries, they know who to call, and everything for the entertainers. They start to express how they feel, that nature. But like that shows you how to deal with your own biology, where you can express your own visions, fixate on it for a long period of time. You look more you know to entertain yourself, like on a healthy level, not on a bad level, like bad level, you beautiful properties, on a practical context, rap about things of that nature, but actually build your blood flow and make you like you're almost like you're training blood cells to be young by utilizing that self-expression. And like the more you give birth to things, the more vitality you're creating.
Absolutely.
Like that sets the bone, that sets your bone structure and nature as they want. And the moment reality is like it's that you look like irrational, like a rabbi, so I guess to follow and believe in God.
Dead ass, for sure, for sure. Like, it's a hard adjustment to make, but man, you'll be the better for it. When I was working as a carpet cleaner, and we would clean places in downtown Toronto, so we'd be in these big offices, and all of these offices for these big companies, toy companies, whatever different type. I didn't even know what the motherfuckers did most of the time, because it was just so random of the things that you would see in just desks. But a lot of them had a motherfucking candy bar. It was different candies and shit like that. Like, a lot of them have their own, and this is in downtown Toronto too. One of them had a bowling alley, a fucking miniature golf course and stuff like that. I seen Xboxes and PlayStations and Nintendo Switches. I'm like, do y'all niggas work here? But I'm like, look at these high level businesses, the ones that can afford a level on a building in downtown Toronto, or whatever level of business that you're doing. And they have yoga rooms, fucking, saunas and all of that type of shit, swimming pools, workout rooms, bowling alleys, all different types of shit, bars and all of that. Once you added one, you took into account the inner child, you took into account fun. You think those niggas are ever quitting? You think those niggas you would think that, oh, this may decrease productivity, but the businesses that are operating at the highest level are making the most money are incorporating these things because people enjoy being there. So
Like,
for the
The people who run like the stock market that maybe crash the economy, like the people who work on the hedge fund, have fun with on that level. Look down and you actually get to that level of Capricorn energy. You actually look down, you actually have fun the business level. Like
Exactly.
you wouldn't give a fuck about law as much. Like to us, people are not like into law. They sue that, but to them suing is something happen every day. Like it's like just someone insulting you, but in a business world.
Yeah, that us. And then we have the sun in Sagittarius now squaring Neptune and Jupiter in Pisces. How do you think that's gonna hit?
That is hard. Father, so from the father instance, God would God. Basically to know what to expand on. Presence. Also vice versa, by deep action. This can happen. This was like being
Absolutely. I feel like Sag is like where you have to go through the fog, but Sag is gonna be like your like like your silver lining, like in terms of like in a literal sense, you know, to literally focus on the silver lining when you're moving through the fog. And it's going to be hard to really focus onto that silver lining and keep your attention onto the silver lining and keep your focus on those aspects, especially with Neptune and Jupiter and Pisces. Whereas they're like, no, react. No, there's already all the subconscious energy. You know, you already experienced so much. Let's react and reflect on these concepts, and then you get stuck into the and then that's the escapism where you're on the path, but then you know it's taking you off, so you can focus on certain imaginations and stuff like that that you already have instead of where does these things go? Where would they lead me to? So you really have to be worried about being taken off the path that you're on, but by having the illusions, you know, this is I don't know if you ever seen when you say like the hero goes to a boss battle and they bring up an illusion or hologram, they make them fight their dead father or something like that, and they can turn into a cyborg, brought it back to life, and now you have to go and fight your dead father or some shit like that, you know, like a dead thought, a dead concept that you had gone past, but you have to get past those concepts in order to obtain your future.
that reminded me when the third Hokage was fighting tomorrow and tomorrow summoned the first Hokage and the second Hokage. It's like that's like Pisces memories from the subconscious back coming back, which I find very fitting.
Dead ass, bro. Dead ass. That's jokes. So yeah, that's the energy of Sunday. Where a lot of focus has to be put on incorporating your inner child in your business and creative expression and how you think and create relationships and value business, but also to stay true to your faith and the direction that you're going to amidst all the distractions and illusions that come up. So um really got to stay true to yourself on Sunday. The whole week, really, with this full moon energy. Especially with that's what Sag season's about. I feel you. I feel you. But yeah, that's the week, guys. Thanks for watching. Follow us on Instagram, TrueSpace_. Check out our website, TrueSpace.biz. And catch you on the flip side. Have a safe full moon.